Okay. All right. Well, afternoon. First, just before we kick off here, I want to make sure I just want to express gratitude and thankfulness to all the men and women that serve in our country's military and that have served, and just let everybody know the appreciation that we have for what they've sacrificed and what they do so that we can, have the great opportunity to do this every single day. And obviously on Veterans Day, I think that's a great opportunity for us to be real thankful for that. So just want to make sure we acknowledge that and talk about that first. I'd say as far as the game is concerned, obviously not the outcome we wanted from that aspect of it. There was some plays in there that were good. I think some plays that we can build off, but certainly some mistakes in there that I think just, cost us from having an opportunity to win the game in the end. So, went through the tape with the players. We're still going through that with them right now. We'll go through some corrections here this afternoon. We know how critically important today is for that, to be able to do that, knowing that, the next time we play them, it's going to be on a short week in a situation where, our preparation time is going to be cut, and we're going to have to obviously do a great job. So it's really our opportunity to kind of get ahead from that week from that standpoint and make sure we get that cleaned up. So other than that, I think we hit some of the topics last night with the game. I'll take questions and kind of go from there.
How much more critical is that film session with a guy like Jeff today? His first action in a little while, just breaking it down for him. And now that you did watch the tape, I know you wanted to wait yesterday until you saw him. Just how you thought he played.
Yeah, I think it's obviously really critical, from that standpoint. Today is always a big learning day for us as a team and all the players individually, so that's really important from that aspect of it. I certainly think Jeff, did everything we asked him to do from standpoint of running the offense, and some things in there that we had game planned up that were specific for some of the things that we thought would hurt the Bears, that he did a good job of. Certainly there's some plays out there that we'd like to have back, in those situations, but thought he handled the situation really well, and I thought he tried to do everything he could to help the offense. I think in general, there was just a lot of other things that really hurt us through the course of the game. Penalties being one of the biggest things, and getting off track and allowing the Bears to, be ahead on the sticks defensively from that standpoint, to be able to dial some things up that gave us some issues. And, there was still some basic fundamentals out there that we didn't, perform very well. We had some balls that were dropped that we got to come up with, and those are, that's a basic fundamental skill that we got to be able to do a good job of. But, certainly I think there's just everything that we can do to coach it and play it better in those situations we're trying to do, and certainly today is a big day for that, to get some of that fixed. But, I did think he tried to do everything we asked him to do there.
Is there an update on Matthew Stafford or IR possibility for him or anything like that?
No updates on him. Again, it is truly day by day, week by week right now as far as he's concerned. He'd practiced all last week, so we'll move ahead with kind of a similar plan as we go for this week.
What's the timeline for there was some confusion after the game. Some of the players said that they knew Saturday morning, and then Matthew and Jeff the morning of. Can you take us through the timeline of when you guys decided?
Yeah, basically the way last week worked was, Stafford practiced all week. He took a lot of reps during the course of the week. Now, we always practice our backup quarterback we have for the entire season in a certain amount of reps during the course of the week. I would say, depending on the previous game, a lot of those reps for the backup quarterback will usually go earlier in the week, maybe later in the week, depending on kind of where, Matthew feels in the beginning part of the week, or if it's a short week or something along those lines. He felt really good through the course of the week, so that was all, positive from that standpoint. We had some additional scanning Friday evening that took place. And that scanning really caused us to have some further internal discussions over the weekend. That was really kind of what sparked some of those conversations. The discussions, the details of those, I'm gonna leave private. Those are medical conversations. But to be honest with you, Saturday when we came in before we left, just to prepare the team in our preparation to make sure we were doing our due diligence because of where the rep count was. I told the team, look, we have to be prepared for all outcomes. And if it's a situation where our quarterback can't play, we have to be ready to go. We actually extended our Saturday walkthrough with that in mind. So we took a double amount of reps just to get everybody ready to go. It's really no different than some of the other things we do during the course of the week with other positions, whether it's a specialty player, a punter, a kicker. Obviously, the quarterback is in the same situation because we only, you have one guy that basically does the majority of that stuff. So with that in mind, I wanted to make sure the team was prepared. But really, knowing Matthew Stafford, he wants to play. He's extremely tough. He's extremely competitive. And honestly, we spent most of Saturday trying to figure out a way, if there was a way for him to play safely. I mean, that's really it. You know, he's very competitive. He's honestly one of the toughest guys I've ever been around. I've seen him play through some pain in other games that I don't even know if some of the toughest guys would play through. So in those situations where, you know, it looks as we're going through the course of the week and in previous weeks where he's been really sore, beat up, and I'm like, I don't know if this guy's going to make it, and he shows up on Sunday. With that in mind, knowing the toughness, knowing how competitive he is, I just wanted to wait as long as possible, you know, really from that standpoint, because of his situation. And I would say that the timeline for us was, you know, when we got to Chicago late Saturday night, got done with meetings, I think at that point in time that I just knew he wouldn't start. And out of respect for him and everything that he's done for this organization, I just wanted to leave the option open when we got to Sunday if he wanted to dress. You know, I think that's important. I think it's important to a player. I've been in that situation before where I had to tell a very established, long-time, great player in the NFL that he was inactive, and it probably broke my heart more than it broke his to tell him that. So I wanted to leave him that option, and then therefore we'd make it official on Sunday morning if he wanted to dress. You know, and honestly, if he woke up good Sunday and walked in and it was, you know, there was another conversation Sunday, so we had to meet again and go through that on Sunday morning. And at that point, you know, we made the decision to, you know, it wasn't safe. We couldn't figure out a way to do it. So, you know, Driscoll was told at that point to, that he was going to go. It wasn't a surprise to him, you know, from that aspect of it, because we prepared, you know, appropriately. And, you know, we just went out and played. So, you know, from that aspect of it, there's a lot of things that went through my mind as far as dressing for the game and not dressing for the game. There's, you know, certainly different scenarios where I thought, okay, well, this would be good or not good. And, you know, in the end, it just, you know, the reality was, you know, wasn't safe for him to play Sunday. We made that decision. We had a lot of guys injured. We had some guys that were already, you know, kind of weren't really going to be able to play. And we kind of actually dressed some guys that were kind of beat up just because of where we were as the injury. So in the end, it wasn't, you know, 8 healthy guys being inactive sort of conversation. In the end, it was, you know, what would be the best scenario. So.
Moving forward with that, I mean, how do you tell a competitive guy who probably wants to play and get out there as soon as he can that maybe, hey, your longer-term future, you know, how do you balance that the rest of the
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, it's just hard but I take it day by day. You know, I do respect that from, you know, these guys are super competitive. They're super tough. They've been doing this a long time. He's been doing it an extremely long time at a high level. And like I said, played through things that, you know, I don't think most people would play through. And so for me, I just got to take it day by day. And in the end, if we wait until the final minute, because out of respect for him to walk in and be like, no, you know, I got to understand that, you know. But in the end, as the head coach, I'm going to try to do the best thing, not only for the team, but, you know, for Matthew Stafford as an individual, or any of our players as individuals. It's no different than a lot of the other injuries we get, or guys that we get that, you know, sometimes I look at them, whether it's an ankle, a knee, a head, or whatever it is, and I just feel like it's not safe, it's not right. Then as a coach, you know, sometimes you got to make those decisions. They're not easy.
In retrospect, do you think that there should have been some change to the injury designation on Saturday about that?
Yeah. You know, the only thing about that is, and the one thing that we were conscious of, and I was really conscious of, is, you know, if you downgrade a player to out, then you can't make them active or dressed. And that was the only thing I thought that would be more messed up, right? Trying to get a guy to dress after we downgrade him out. So, okay, let's take the night, let's go to bed, let's wake up tomorrow and see how we feel, and then make a decision. Just, I mean, that was my biggest concern there was, you know, if we downgrade him out, then I can't even have him dressed for the game, which, you know, I wanted to leave that option open.
Whose decision was it for him not to dress? Was it his or was it yours? Collective decision. I would say for me, it was really you know, when I talked to the medical staff and talked to, you know, everybody appropriately in that conversation, I just thought at that point it was like, all right, well, you know, I'm going to have this other guy up just in case, because we had some other injury issues that I was really concerned with in a different position, that I was like, all right, in a major emergency, you know, this might be a deal. Honestly, there's things that go through your head like, okay, you know, obviously Sam was a little bit beat up this week, you know, and what if something happens to him? Who's going to back up? Who's going to hold? You know, like, because he's that guy. You know, it was Danny Amendola, but, you know, he wasn't doing it this week. So you kind of go through those scenarios of emergency situations. And
I would say we had another one that was a little bit more pressing, that maybe we had a guy active that was still in the same sort of, not totally healthy, but could have gone in and done what he had to do to help us. So kind of weighing all those situations, that's where that decision came from.
Hey, Matt, Bob Quinn's dad stood at that same podium a couple years ago, said 9-7 wasn't good enough. You guys didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yep.
It doesn't look like you're going to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Why should you be back for year 3, and do you worry that you might not be back for year 3?
You know, Jeff, I think for me, it's just every single day I come to work and I work as hard as I can to try to do everything I can to make this team better. You know, and I truly believe that this team is tough. I truly believe that this team goes out and fights every single day. I think they work hard. And, you know, there's probably progress that I see that I think is encouraging that maybe everybody else doesn't see, because we're judged by what we do on Sunday, and that's where we need to improve. There's no doubt about that. But, you know, like I said, I mean, for me, I come to work every single day. I work my butt off to try to do everything I can to help this team win. And honestly, I think we're, whatever we are, 24, 25 games in. So we got a long way to go. We got a lot of work to do, but we're working really hard at that.
Looks like you guys made a little bit of a change at linebacker. You gave Jelani the radio for a little bit and maybe scaled back Jared Davis' role a little bit. Just kind of wondering what the thought process was there.
Yeah, you know, those guys, there's actually quite a few of them that have green dot availability during the game, depending on some of the package or situations. I think one of the things I was conscious of in this game was making sure that we did have a good rotation with the linebacker core. I think we have some good players there that really there's maybe a sweet spot in there of a rep count that I think for us with some of the packages that we ran. We had a couple different packages yesterday that we kind of threw at the Bears, and I think for that was it was predetermined. It was something that we had kind of scripted through the game of like, hey, we're going to give certain guys rest during these series and roll them in and out from that aspect of it, so that we could try to be better in the fourth quarter, which was I think maybe something we talked about the previous week, I guess, was trying to be better in the fourth quarter, which I thought we were. So I think from that standpoint, I think some of those rotational type of series, I thought they helped.
Is that like a Bears-specific packages or something maybe that you've been growing throughout the season?
I mean, some of the packages I ran yesterday were specific for that game, but not necessarily ones that we haven't practiced or maybe had dialed up before.
Just a lot of injuries, Rick Wagner, Ty Johnson, and Kevin Strong.
Yeah, you know, Rick, he's in protocol, so we'll have to go through that process from that standpoint. Nothing new other than just the protocol for him. Certainly one of those, you know, situations that are hard, you know, and walk out, but he was good today, you know, in good spirits and everything from that standpoint. Same with Ty Johnson. He's in protocol. Miles Kilbrew is, you know, still in protocol from last week too, so those are kind of the three injuries there. Kevin Strong, we're actually getting, you know, still going through an evaluation with the doctors here and taking a further look into some of the things that were bothering him from the game. He actually tried to go back out there and tried to play, which I just think, you know, in the middle of the game, he felt good, kind of went back, and maybe a little bit of a bigger body pushing on him at that point. It kind of, I don't know if it re-aggravated or whatever it did. So we're going to wait and see. He was pretty sore this morning from that standpoint. So we're going to try to grind through the night here and see what we can you know, kind of find out about that injury.
What goes into the decision to not go for the Hail Mary? It seems like you guys were in range at the end of the first half there.
Yeah. The end of the first half, we were certainly trying to get actually by the clock into field goal range first, you know, with Prater, obviously, which, again, you know, he made a heck of a kick yesterday, 54-yarder in that stadium with that wind and stuff. That's a really, you know, great for him. We were trying to get into that situation, and I think at the very end of it, when we were looking at the situation as far as trying to throw one up, protection was probably our number one concern, and then also just kind of the wind and, you know, the particular play that we had dialed up there. We just didn't feel it was the right situation.